I don't know if you heard Ambrose in Gibraltar today, the other day. I think it was yesterday. Yesterday, no? But I was listening to him, and he was very coherent. He was very logical, but at the same time, I couldn't help thinking back to a day in January 23, and I was called to his studio. Remember that day? Yeah. Yeah. And that day is just before we went to the first opening in the gallery in Tangiers. And it was January and very cold, and I think we started at 8:30 in the morning or 9 early, and we went through till 8 or 9 in the evening. I mean, this was a mammoth task. I don't know which was worse, for you or for me, because it was like this flood of images, and not only a flood of images, because the visual proposition, let's call them, that Ambrose gives to us is not easy, and they are easy in a way, but at the same time, and knowing my mind, I want to make a system out of the whole thing, and sometimes this is over a long period of years, I think we saw, and all sorts of sizes, from really exquisite watercolors, which were this size, to a really massive painting. So I had to adjust. I had a bad cold as well, so I was like out of it. But really sponging and taking the visual information in and trying to see what the value of all this was. And today that I see the painting is like a repetition of that, I think, very special day for me, and I hope it was for you, because we also spoke a lot on the different trends that comprise your artistic sensibility. And I must say that Ambrose is a very special creator in Gibraltar, and there is no one that will touch the subject and in the way that you do it. And it's very clear now that I see your works finally in this block of information that will be with us for many, many years, and as a testament of who you are and who eventually you were. So it has to be clear. And I think, and we have 4 people here. I always say that, there's not many, there are painters in Gibraltar, but there's not very many creators of forms. And there are 4 here. 1 is possible coming up, but you are a creator of form. And one of the group of 4, and maybe 5. And that is important, that the whole question of composition, which goes back to the Renaissance, is not forgotten. That is a huge part of the whole chain of art that leads us back to the 19th, the 20th, the 18th, and going back to Giotto and all the others. So I think you deserve it. And I hope the best for you, and I hope also, and I know you will continue, because you are a very curious guy. In the gallery, we talk a lot, we laugh a lot as well. And I think it's part of the creative process that we have this very good relationship. But I also want to thank Juan Trujillo over there, who's responsible for putting the whole thing together. I mean, really marvelous work. Yeah, and I think I'll shut up now. No.
Okay.
Right.
I think you can pass it on now.
I pass it on.
The fact is that the book is amazing, and I think that the print of the volume of work surpasses anything that I could have imagined, Ambrose, really. I mean, I knew that you were extremely prolific, and I knew that you had a great big volume of work, but to see it all together is absolutely fantastic. What does it feel like to you to suddenly see your life's work in the book?
It's like my life on pages. My own, because I can remember every single work I did. I can remember doing them. So it's like an encyclopedia of, and that's all condensed. But that's been my life. So it's like my life in pages.
What does the book actually signify to you in terms of, you're saying your life, but you pick it up in 1962.
Yeah.
The year after I was born, by the way. And you go all the way up to 2022. Why those specific years? Because I know that you must have been around 15 at the time. That's when you kind of discovered your art, really, and you were beginning to discover your voice.
16. At 16, I decided that I was going to continue being an artist. And I had to sort of establish myself somehow in my own mind. So I got one of Lenin's students, because I used to go for lessons with her. And I remember, because the problem I was having was when I was going with Lenny and she was teaching me traditional painting techniques. But when I went to the school, Willie Sharpie and Charlie King, they would introduce me to the modern masters. So Tara Patil was probably two, and I had to decide to go to Lenny's style, and I decided to go with the modern style. So to establish that for myself, I got the last painting that I did with Lenny, which was Moroccan weavers, basket weavers, and I painted my idol at the time, Picasso, and I painted, which is in the book, I painted over it as a statement that was it. I've done the traditional painting. And then I looked for inspiration like you do. Daddy was very important to me, Klee was very important to me. Because what you do when you're 16, you have the desire, you have the energy, but the idea, you are very, very poor. So you look to other sources and pinch from other sources, which is fine, that's how we all start anyway.
Where do your ideas come from, Ambrose? Because, I mean, look, the paintings that we see in that book, there's such a wide range of things. And I'm going to ask you specifically about a couple of things, but where do those ideas come from? Because you're not afraid to look at ugly ideas. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What is beauty really at the end of the day?
I don't know. I'm very curious and I question everything. I want to know why, how things work, why, for example, you see the halo. You look at the Renaissance paintings and there are some people that have got halos and there are some people that haven't got halos. So what is the artist saying with that? Then I look a bit deeper. The Egyptians used the halo, the Sumerians used the halos. All cultures, Babylonia used the halo. Why? Why were they things? Because these people are instructed by the powers that be. In the Renaissance, it was the bishops, the cardinals, they would instruct the painters how they had to paint. In Egypt, in Babylon, the same. So these people were instructed to put a halo around certain people. What are they saying with that? Well, the only conclusion I came was that these people with the halos were special people or super people, and the ones that didn't have a halo were just normal people. Now, that is an amazing debate for books and books and books. I don't throw anything out. I look at everything.
You're really not afraid of taking on certain ideas that may be outside of what we would call the norm.
I don't know what the norm is. There are normal people, then there's more normal people and less normal people. I don't know what the norm is. As an artist, the first thing you have to do is lose fear. That's first. Then you don't have to work for the people. You cannot be an artist and please the people. Because the art, I'm afraid, is in another space. It's a space which is a personal space. It's to do with a personality. It's to do with feeling. It's to do with desire to say something. Some do it in writing, others do it in music. But the artist has got something which we all creative, that's for sure. We're all creative because we all have to go to Marks and Spencer and we have to choose the jacket, and what color do we choose? It's a personal choice, we have to decorate the house. So we're all creative. But the artist goes beyond that and can go into politics, into physics, religion, sex. It's completely over. The Indians are amazing for erotica. Go to India, go and see the temples, and it's full of erotica. They're into that. So an artist should be brave and cannot discard any ideas, because if you got an idea and you discard it, and you get another idea and you discard it, then you never do anything. So you have to own the idea and produce a piece of work to the best of your ability.
Now, Gino in his foreword actually writes that your work has a quality of hallucination, and how in your art you are in a heightened universe. So, can it be that in your paintings you're always distant from the world that you inhabit? Are you conscious of that? It's a difficult question. I didn't think about it.
I'll answer it for you.
La verdad es que yo dejé el kiff hace muchos años. Que si no decía. No puede ser.
It is a world of your own, in a sense.
Yeah, I understand what he's saying, because my images are very strong, very, very powerful, a bit frightening, a bit disgusting. I understand all that. Pero lo que viene, me viene y lo hago. Y que le guste, que no le guste, como no le guste. But I am going to be true to myself. At the end of the day, I'm pleasing myself. I mean, I'd like to sell, obviously. But I don't paint to sell. I paint because I have to paint, because it's who I am. Okay, the images that I do are my images that come from my consciousness, from my subconsciousness. There's really very little explanation I can give why some don't feel me call it, some feel like that.
Well, one of the interesting things for me was looking at the book is the vast selection of self-portraits that there are, and the way that you see yourself as an artist and as a person. And it's only in the very first one, which is an absolutely amazing self-portrait of you, that we really see Ambrose.
Sí, eso es the mask. We all wear masks. And I said, I'm going to take my mask out. I'm going to remove my masks, and I'm going to see who I really am. So I started to paint, and this came through. It's all about, because we all wear masks, different masks for different occasions. Well, we all do, but I decided to take them off, and just paint what came. That's what you see there.
But the selection of your self-portraits are pretty. I mean, there's one where you almost make a mockery of yourself.
See? Because the artist is a fool. The artist is a fool until he makes money. When he gets a name, then he's not a fool, he's a hero. At the beginning, niño que va a pintar, que está charado, busca un chapeau, hombre, que va a ganar dinero de la pintura o de la música. The parents don't want the children to become artists, unless we become teachers. Está bien. O sea, tiene un chapucito para el maestro, también. Eso debe ser un bohemian, una locura. And that's where it comes from.
So where does the title come from? El nino tiene algo. Where did that come from?
Because I was 11 years old. I was changing from St. John's to Our Lady of Lourdes for secondary education. I was about 20 when I asked my father, Dad, ¿por qué me pusiste un name in I didn't know. And then he told me that Mrs. Gonzalez, when I was changing off to the Escuela Grande,
Only a Gibraltarian could say that. La Escuela
le dije a mi padre, he said to my dad, he says, put him with learning his suit to take art lessons, porque el niño tiene algo. And then and I remember one Christmas, que me dieron a big box of chalk, and I opened it, and it's full of colored chalks. I'd never seen colored chalk before. I knew it was white chalk. And one of the teachers said to me, go and paint a nativity scene on the blackboard. And and he must have done a good job. And from there it all started, so nino tiene.
I often have said to you in the past that your work can be pretty controversial. It's certainly different. I know that you don't really go down the route of wanting to be controversial.
Not really, because I wouldn't know what to choose to be controversial. We're living in such an open world now that, and I know I could talk ahora, pero no going there. I wouldn't know how to be controversial because I wouldn't know what tips over to controversy. What happens with me? My subjects, when they're out there, they cause controversy. But the cause of it in Gibraltar. You go to Madrid, you go to Barcelona, you go to London, you go to New York. Not controversial at all.
Again, all that may be true. It may be controversial, but it is true. What you may show.
Sí,
Claro.
but that would make it more controversial than real.
There's an artist that, I think of a lot when I see your work, is Goya.
Sí.
Goya.
Yeah.
Because it's after the guerra, all that follows from here.
Sí, sí.
Yeah.
I've only got a couple more questions for you. How do you see yourself as an artist? How do you see yourself?
See myself as an artist, it's just a job. It's my job, my 9 to 5. I get ideas in my head. I jot them down in my little book. I keep on jotting them down in my little book, and now then I open my little book and say, oh, is this still alive or not? Because you get an idea, but it could die within a day or two. And then if it bugs me, then I have to do something about it. What's been bugging me is the realization. At the moment, I'm working on a series called The Body as Burden, the realization that we are spirits encased in flesh. And we have to carry the body around with us. Y la verdad, que it's a burden sometimes. Problemado. Millions of things that happen to the body, disease, and we have to learn to cope with carrying a particular burden in our bodies. And I'm looking more for metaphors on how to portray this. At the moment I'm working on the figure carrying another figure on the shoulders. I haven't finished it, I'm still working, but it's only there, okay, I look at them, yeah, this is something to be talked about.
Now, some of your work, as you've mentioned before, are really political statements.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of identity as well, because that is extremely important to me.
Yeah.
That of being a Gibraltarian. You're not afraid to tackle any of these issues. I mean, I know that you're a thinker outside of the box. We've mentioned that already. I don't think there's anybody that can mirror you in Gibraltar. Maybe one or two others, to be honest with you. But you're totally unafraid of doing that. Does this make some of your work Gibraltarian art? How do we identify and describe Gibraltarian art?
Well, eso,
I might let you have an insight into that. I can see you.
I don't complicate matters.
eso como no me lo Maggie Thatcher diciendo que women's politics. I don't think there's Gibraltarian art or Spanish art. Art is art. International for everybody. There's nothing like Gibraltarian art que quería ponerlo. Pintar cañones. That makes me a Gibraltarian art. No. I'm painting a hill, a mountain. So I don't think there's such a thing as Gibraltarian art or English art. There are schools that come from England, that come from Spain, that come from Italy, that come from Gibraltar. And I don't think there's such a thing as Gibraltarian art.
So is there a Gibraltarian school?
No, not yet. Not yet. No, we are not mature enough for that yet.
So far as the unrestrictedness of your art goes, where do we go to next? What have you got left in your tank?
Tengo dos pelotazos para Easter. I'm going to show 2 paintings in Easter, and that's all I'm going to show 2 paintings. I don't want to talk about them because it's going to lose the power. But yeah, it's a little surprise in the back.
Would you like to ask anything else? Because I know you're dying to ask.
Well, no, but I've lost there were a couple of moments where I would have liked to, going back to the question of Gibraltar, or Gibraltar art in Gibraltar. Well, I think Gibraltar has gone through all sorts of permutations, no? And it's in a constant process of, let's call it metamorphosis, no? And we are, I think, very lucky to be living in Gibraltar and to have the identity that we have. Because I mean, the place is I know it's very quirky, but we're bang in the middle of the Mediterranean with all that means. The Atlantic with all that means. We can see Africa. And I always say, if I put a foot in Tangier, I can walk all the way down to South Africa. I mean, that's a huge imaginative leap that an artist or writer can take. And behind us we have Europe. We are at the center of very potent cultural forces and history, of course. I mean, which other place within a 20-minute drive can take you from Neanderthals all the way down to our partners? Well, is it? Yeah. And that's, the layers of history are all there and a part of that. I always compare it to a bit like an oxygen tube. It's small, but you put it in hot water and something. But you've got to have, and the key is imagination. But, I mean, we all know James Joyce, Ulysses. Ulysses is set in Dublin, and it's 24 hours in Dublin, 800 pages. But it's the genius, I put it, of James Joyce that makes Dublin more than Dublin. I think that's what we should be doing. Make Gibraltar more Gibraltar. Excessively Gibraltar.
We'll leave you there.
Oh.
No, but otherwise you're going to go on and on. So I'm just going to give you the final say, Ambrose. What would you tell your audience about your book, and what would you tell other artists?
I want to leave my audience with no doubt at all that Gibraltar as an artist. After I heard it, I shall continue working. If you want to know more, buy the book. If you don't want to buy it, go to the library and borrow it.
Ambrose, thank you. It's always a pleasure interviewing you.
I have a question for you, Ambrose. First, I'd like to mention that I stumbled across your work randomly going to the finance gallery one day, and you're having an exhibition there. And I walked into the gallery and I could relate to your work, even if it seemed a bit abstract, a bit far-fetched for me at the moment. It really gave me a push to know that there's someone out there producing work that I can relate to, and I do look up to you in more than one way. But that's not the question. The question is, when did you start considering to make this book? Is this like a thing you've had in your mind for a long time, or is it something that
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
That was why the meeting in 23.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Well, from there.
That's right.
So it's taken you 2 years to put it together?
Yes, yes. Anything else?
Ambrose, you said that when you were young you were inspired by Dalí and Picasso and people like that. Who inspired you in the stage of your life you're at now? People like, we've talked about Kifa and people like that.
That's right.
Who
See,
inspired?
I look at a lot of paintings, and Kifa is one of them. And the Germans, the expressionists, mean a lot to me. The expressionists have no fear of tackling any subject.
What, now or
Now, at present, I look at the expressions a lot. And what happens is that I've digested so many styles from so many artists that I don't have to look for them anymore. They come through me. And then if I notice that something's coming through me that belongs to another artist, I stop. Because I don't want to repeat myself.
do you look at people coming up now, young people coming up now that might inspire you in any way?
There is one artist in Gibraltar who is a very strong painter. And I think that boy, or young man, has a very good future. because it's very brave and it paints with the heart. And that is lo más importante de todo, to paint with your heart. It doesn't matter if you get it wrong. You keep on working. And if you get it right once, then you always get it right. And that's one that will come along very well. Yes. Especially this particular one.
So youth that inspire you as well.
Yes, because I can see the young blood with the same passion that I've got.
Sí, porque el futuro, ¿no? El futuro.
El futuro, exactamente. El futuro. Yeah.
So, I mean, I reinforce the whole idea of work. You have to work.
You have to work every day. You have to treat it as a job.
You have to work.
You cannot say it's a part-time. No, because it consumes you. It consumes you because you don't know what you're doing sometimes, and you're still fighting. And, ¿qué pasó? I went to the studio, because the day when I finish work, I don't know what I've done, if it's good or bad. I'm tired, I can't make a judgment. So I wait for the next morning. So I go to the studio the next morning at 10 o'clock, whatever, y voy un poquito ansioso. Because I put my heart into it, and look at it, come on, I have to just write it off. I go to bed at night and remove it all. I did it again today. And that is part, okay, it's consuming. It's a consuming work.
It's enjoyable consuming.
It's very enjoyable when you see it working and it's coming, and sometimes it just happens, and you don't know where it's come from. That's the joy. A veces it just flows, and other days it doesn't. Good days and bad days. Yeah. Alright? Okay?
Uno. For example, you get an idea and you know how to tackle it immediately, because I know we've spoken about this one because of what's coming. Because sometimes, you get an idea, so how do I do it? So what's your...
Yeah, the idea is to tell you the thing. Because you get an idea and it's like an iceberg.
Sí.
You just see the tip of the iceberg, pero por ahí debajo, as you start to get the idea, it starts to unravel. And what you thought you were going to paint, you don't. You paint something completely different.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty as well. That's it. You have to learn this. You have to learn the idea is only the beginning. And you got to go with the flow. And that's where ya te pierdes. Una vez que te pierdas, then you're in a good place. Ahí uno tiene que probarte. Sorry, cojones la cosa.
And where the idea is coming from, what the idea means.
You run away. You push forward. That's not Manusha. Okay. Venga.
We'll leave it there. Enjoy the evening. Yeah. You're welcome. A pleasure.
Yeah.